Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over how to divide decimals by decimals. Before we get started with our two examples, let's go over the strategy on how to divide a decimal by a decimal. So step number one, you want to write the quotient in standard form if it's not already presented in that format. For example, if you have a dividend divided by a divisor, you write it in this form, the divisor, and then the division bar, and then the dividend. If you have it as a fraction, the number on top is the dividend that goes under the division bar, and then the denominator, of course, is the divisor. All right, so you write the quotient of the two decimals in this format first. And then step number two, you ensure that the divisor is not a decimal by moving the decimal point to the right until the divisor becomes an integer. Okay, so for example, let's say you have to find 0.51 divided by 3.2. You write it in standard form first, 3.2, and then the division bar 0.51. Now, if you note, the divisor here is a decimal. Okay, so you have to address that. How do you do that? You have to make this into an integer by moving the decimal point to the right until this number becomes an integer. Since we have only one digit to the right of the decimal, what does that mean? We're going to move the decimal point one place to the right. Okay, so that is illustrated here. So that leaves us with 32 divided by 5.1. This is good because the divisor is now an integer. Okay? Step number three, after putting it in that state, then you're going to move your decimal point. You're going to move it up vertically, and that will be the decimal position of your quotient or the answer. So for example, 32 divided by 5.1, this decimal point goes straight up. That's the position of the decimal point for the answer. And then you would just divide 32 as though you were dividing it by 51. After moving it up, you can take it out of here and then just divide. And wherever you put your digits, just align it properly. Okay? After moving the decimal point upwards, then you apply your standard division, long division algorithm or steps to finish the problem. Okay? Okay, let's take a look at some examples. Number one, what if we were asked to divide 4.32 by 0.36? Okay, so if I want to write this in mathematical form, this would be 4.32 divided by 0.36. Now this division expression is not in standard form. So if we want to write it in standard form, it's going to be written as 0.36. This is a divisor divided by the dividend, which is 4.32. Okay, now we're going to start to use the strategy or steps that we just went over. We're going to apply to this problem. And now, first thing you'll notice is that the divisor is a decimal. So we have to address that. We have to convert this into an integer by adjusting the decimal point of the divisor and a dividend an equivalent number of times until this becomes an integer. So how many times do we have to move the decimal point to the right? You notice we have two digits to the right of the decimal, so we have to move it to the right twice. 1, 2. That's the position of the decimal point that makes our divisor an integer. So what do we do with the dividend? We adjust it the same number of points, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2. There goes the position of the decimal point of your dividend. So this expression now becomes 36 divided by 432, and the decimal point is right here. Okay, now let's go ahead and divide this, but before we do that, we can just drop off the decimal point since there is no digit behind it. But if I wanted to move it up, the decimal point will be somewhere right there. Okay, but it doesn't play any role in this example. It will in the next one. So 36 divided by 4. 36 cannot go into 4, so let's put a 0 there. 36, can 36 go into 43? Absolutely. How many times? It can go in there once. Okay, so just make sure your digits are perfectly aligned so you don't ruin the number of digits. Okay, so 1 times 36 is 36. Write it underneath the 42. We're going to subtract here. Now when you subtract 36 from 43, just borrow 1, this becomes 13, and then this becomes 13 minus 6 is 7. Now, what do we do next? Standard long division algorithm will bring down this 2 right here. What is 36 divided by 72? 36 goes into 72 twice. Okay, so it goes there twice. 2 times 36 is 72. Well, this is a nice problem. You have no remainder, no decimal. So if you subtract, you get 0. Okay, so 4.32 divided by 0.36 is 12. No need to put 0.0, okay? If you don't have a digit behind a decimal point, you can drop it out. So the answer for this example is 12. All right, let's take a look at question number 2. So for problem 2, we have 4.08 over 1.2. So what is 4.08 over 1.2? Okay, so this is not in standard form. Let's go ahead and write it in standard form so that we can apply our strategy for dividing decimals. So the denominator is the divisor. So we have 1.2. The numerator is the dividend. That's what you're dividing. That goes underneath the division bar, 4.08. You notice that our divisor here is a decimal. So we have to address that. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to move the decimal point a number of times so that this becomes an integer. So we're just going to move it to the right once, since there's only one digit to the right of the decimal. Move it equivalent number, move the decimal point of the dividend an equivalent number of times once. That is where the decimal point goes. So this problem now becomes 12 divided by 40.8. Okay, this is perfect because the divisor is not a decimal anymore. Okay, now what do we do with the decimal point before we advance? The decimal point should be moved up vertically. Okay, so just move it straight up. This would be the position of the decimal point of your quotient or the answer. All right, so put the decimal point straight up right here. Now we're going to act as though this number doesn't have a decimal point anymore. 12 goes into 4. 12 cannot go into 4. Let's put the 0. 12 goes into 40 how many times? 12 goes into 40 3 times, because 3 times 12 is 36, and 4 times 12 is 48, which is too big. So 3 times 12 is 36. What we're doing right now is just our standard long division algorithm. Okay, subtract Borrow 1, this becomes 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. Okay, what do you do with this 8 right here? Now notice the 8 is behind the decimal point, or to the right of the decimal point. So our next digit is going to fall right here. Okay, besides, we don't have any space here to put in any digits. Bring down the 8. 12 goes into 48 how many times? 12 goes into 48 4 times. 4 times 12 is 48. This is excellent. Nice, neat problem here. No fractions or decimals. We actually have a decimal. No remainder, I meant to say. All right, so you subtract, you have 0 right here, and it terminates the decimal point. So our answer, 4.08 divided by 1.2 is what? Is 3.4. So there goes our final result. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. We really appreciate it. If you found this tutorial helpful to you, please give us a thumbs up. We'll appreciate your positive feedback. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to other cool math tutorials such as this. If you have any questions about this tutorial or any math questions in general, just place your questions in the comment section below, and we'll be glad to address it as soon as possible. More clips can be found on mathgotserved.com. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful day.